Right. Hi guys, Jack and Tasha here today. We're just doing a special sort of one-off. Obviously you've seen in a minute we're getting linked with every player, left, right and centre, all outfield players everywhere. But me myself personally, I think we need to be looking at obviously strengthening the number one position, goalkeeper. So today we've got, it's definitely not Joe Wainman. It looks like Joe Wainman. He's not a long lost brother of Joe Wainman, but he's actually her brother here. So this is Kieran. Kieran's goalkeeping coach. Do you want to just introduce yourself and exactly?
So I've been coaching with goalkeepers now for about 8 seasons. I run my own goalkeeping centre and academy, as well as working for other academies. I'm currently at Ramsgate Football Club. I was at Hemel last season.
Yeah, it's in Conference South, aren't they?
Yeah, National League South. So I was there. Got to work with Dimitri Karim, the ex-Chelsea Premier League goalkeeper, and that's fantastic. You just learn so much from people like that, and and a few others as well. It's been really good.
Oh, very good. So as I said, we're here just really to speak about goalkeeping situation at Leeds. I know Tasha's a big fan of. Do you want to pronounce his name? Marriot. And I am as well myself, but I think if we look and dig down, we all know that we do need some strength in depth for the league that we're going to be going into next year. So really we're going to be here today to talk about, there's 3 keepers that we've been linked with. It's Sergio Romero at Man United, Emilio Martinez at Arsenal, and is it Aaron Ramsdale at Bournemouth. So we're just going to ask Kieran what he thinks about these 3 keepers, the strengths, the weaknesses, and just give us a general insight.
First, we'll talk about Marriot. So obviously the first bit of footballing we saw from him was against Arsenal. You was there with us. Our first away game together.
It's a long time coming, that one.
I thought his strengths were his distribution. I think a lot of people agree with that. Tell us a bit more. What else did you see from him that game?
I thought he was very confident for his first English game against the Premier League side. Huge ground, fantastic stadium. It was so intimidating, especially for a young keeper. And just for him to come out and play with that much confidence, I was really impressed with him. I know a lot of people were. But again, his range of passing was very good. Obviously it's a nice pitch there. We could see that from the level where we was. You could see it was lovely, absolutely lovely pitch. But you get given these things, and you still got to do it. You still got to do it on the stage. And I thought he did. I thought he did that really well. But it gave everyone that excitement that when all this happened with Casilla, that it gave everyone that excitement to see what he's like, especially me as well. I went into them 8 games where Leeds, were showing the games and things like. I went into it like I want to watch as much of this kid as possible, which is something you want as a fan. Kind of, because we've seen players, not just keepers, but we've seen players have one fantastic game and then you never hear from them again.
Very, very true.
So it was a case of one, was it a fluke? 2, what else has he got? Because with no disrespect to Arsenal, I don't think they really tested us that much. So we didn't get to see a lot of his shot stopping or his coming crosses and things like that. So within 8 games, generally you're going to get to see a wider variety of him. And so I was looking forward to seeing a big variety of his game. See what he could bring.
So I know. It's been a bit downwards since everything that's happened, but I think it'd be rude not to speak about him. So, did you like Kiko Casilla, or? I
liked him. He's got the experience. He's worked with some fantastic coaches and fantastic players. From probably, for me, the biggest club in the world. When you look at their history with the Champions League and things, But I liked him. But he was very rash. Some managers like it. They like the ones that want to come forward and do everything. Other managers want their keeper just to kind of sit back and just cover that. So it's what Bielsa and his staff want from him, really. But then I think there's just 1 or 2 things that you know, there was the derby game of the playoffs, kind of got a few people on his back. And then this just really hasn't helped his case at all.
Do you think he's got any future at Leeds?
It'd be very hard for him to have a future now.
Yeah.
I think, especially again with Marriot, especially with him coming in and doing so well.
Yeah.
I think it'd be hard. Again, his experience would be great, you know, to have with the younger keepers there. But then, is this now going to be lingering behind him?
So how would you compare the two styles between them?
I don't think they're too dissimilar. You know, they're both very good with distribution. And I think that's more of a case of Bielsa. It's a Bielsa, his way of playing, and he knows what he wants from the keeper, just like he does every other position. So I don't think they're going to be too dissimilar, you know. But for me, you know, Marriot's got the confidence at the moment.
Yes.
Casilla, even in that last game that Casilla played after we had gone up.
Yeah.
But he still didn't look overly confident. And I think the big key for me was the defenders didn't look that confident. I don't know how true that is, because obviously you don't know what's going on. But my version of their body language was that they wasn't.
As I said, my big thing about Marriot, what I've said in it, resident, right? As I said about Marriot is what I've noticed. I mean, the games when he's come in and he's took over keeper and he's coming from lockdown, he has not done anything wrong. I've not seen anything wrong. And he's growing in confidence. You're watching now, he actually screams at that defence, which for a young, is he what, 19?
He's 20-year-old.
Yeah. Screaming at senior players. That for me, I love to see that. And I think that for me is an installed confidence in defence as well, thinking this kid's confident here, we're all right with this man behind us. So I think that's a benefit. But I think truthfully, as we said there, I think going to the Premier League, we definitely need good backup. Yeah, good strength, pushing on, everyone pushing, keepers both pushing each other to get that number one jersey every Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever.
But for a personal thing, I've always found as well, when I've been at clubs, that, you know, you want to work with young keepers and things. You know, as a coach, you always look into coaching through different scenarios, techniques and this and that. But there's nothing like having that experienced keeper next to him, just having that word, just putting them, look, you're doing this, you know, try this, you know. And I think there's something there between, and this is why you get, everyone feels big as a goalkeeping department. When you go in somewhere, you want your goalkeeping department to be tight. You know, you generally become good friends, and if there's something there that's not quite right, I think that becomes part of it. So they trust the other keepers, you know, that they're telling them the right things. And it's such a weird thing to be in, because you're all fighting for that one spot, you know, but yet everyone's helping everyone else get to that one spot, which is kind of a weird thing, but you're all in it together as that team.
Yeah, you also have also notice, I suppose goalkeepers go off and do a hell of a lot of work on their own, away from the outfield players, so they will build the bond anyway between themselves, you know, and I suppose even though they're competing for that number one jersey, they'll still support each other.
Definitely.
Even though they're thinking, I want that jersey if it's happening, but if you're in, I'm going to still go train together with the kid, you know, and I think that's what it's being professional in as well. I'd imagine that's what it's like.
Yeah, it's very weird, because it's where it's a lot smaller group than also the outfielders.
Yeah.
So you kind of have that little bit more of a tight-knit thing, you know, and plus you have your GK union and stuff like that, where, you know, you always kind of support other goalkeepers because you know how hard the position is.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I think where you work, you know, even with me being at that semi-pro level, you know, I see the keepers 2-3 times a week, you know. So I see a lot more than what I do to my own family, you know, and that as well, you know. But, you know, you spend so much time with them, working together, that you really do create a bond, you know. And it's, you know, I've worked with keepers, even now down the line, that I worked with a few years ago, I still talk to them, you know, they're still friends to me, you know, we're always having conversations, you're always linking it back, how's this, how's that, how's your family, you know, and you do really become close-knit.
Yeah.
And I think it's important as well, I think it's important that players group together, but it's important that your goalkeeping department group together, because you are always with each other, you know, like you say, you go off, you do your own training, and then you go in.
Yeah.
You know, and you link into them with the outfield training, you know, but, you know, you are just with each other quite a lot, and you know, especially for professionals, they're in every day with the coaches, you know, all together. You know, they've got to get on. And, you know, coming back to Kiko, is this what's happened? Are the players now, you know, is there going to be that thing, you know? And if there is, it's going to be even bigger in the goalkeeping department, because there's always going to be this little, you know, shadow there. That's,
So, Marriot comes in, and how I've watching him. Some people have been. You said, "Oh, I've been a bit too harsh on him," and that. So I actually did think it at one point. I thought his passes weren't as good. Tell us a bit about that then. What?
Yeah, so we had a conversation, didn't we? But for me, you see him in the Arsenal game, but he had loads of time on the ball. Okay, and as quick as the Premier League is, it's not as quick as Championship level. You know, every league has their own little identity, and that, which is, you know, it's going to be different now for us being in the Premier League. It'll be something else that Bielsa's now going to have to adapt to. But as a goalkeeping point of view, you get that little bit more time on the ball. You know, Premier League teams will set up their shape. They won't press the keepers as much unless it's there to be done. They won't just chase after the keeper constantly. Whereas the Championship, he'll have a little bit less time. So his passes are not going to be necessarily as good because he's got less time on the ball and he's got to play a little bit quicker. But I think, again, that kind of got better over the games when he realised I've not got as much time. I thought his passes got better. So the first 1 or 2 games were probably a little bit questionable. But at the same time...
Sorry, I think the passing was questionable with all of the players at one point.
But then this is what I said to you as well when we had that conversation, that for some reason, everyone expects a goalkeeper not to make a mistake. He's 20 years old. He's going to misplace his pass. He's going to misplace that pass. You know, and there's times where there's one game in particular that really stuck. I can't remember who we played now, but it really stuck in my head. And I think it was because we just had the conversation. And then, you know, we've been playing short and things like that. And the next thing, they just pressed like that. And then there was no movement as well from the outfield players. Nobody was giving him that option. So all he had left to do was clip it into the channel. Right? And then the header, then you're putting it into an area where it's got to be one as a header. No, it was a bit.
Well, before that, the Cardiff game, Big Preston, if I remember right.
I think it might have been Swansea game. Because I think there was one point where they just kind of pressed up against us. There was no movement. You know, the Swansea game was it wasn't great. You know?
Of course.
So I think there was just no movement for him. He couldn't play short because of the press. He couldn't really go long to anyone. So he had to put it into the channel, into an area where then it becomes a 50-50 challenge. We lost the headers, and then that goes down and it's like a pass that he hasn't made. So then his pass percentage comes down. But then that was his only option. So that's where, you know, pass percentages are great, but they're not always going to be, you know, you can't always link stats and things like that to gameplay. Because at times he's going to just be like, that's my only option. You know.
So I think the general opinion here then really between us, I think we all sort of agree, we think Kiko's career is finished.
Potentially we finished.
So obviously there's been talk, you know, now the 3 keepers that seem to have been linked to us at the moment. We can start with any of the 3 you want to speak about, Kieran.
So we go with Ramsdale. I like Aaron Ramsdale. I think he's a good shot stopper. He looks very brave. His one-to-ones, just seen, you know, from clips that, you know, we looked at and stuff when we got linked with him. He just, you know, very brave. But again, he's another he's only 22. He's another young keeper. It's great to have 2 young keepers pushing, but I think you still need that experience there.
I agree.
And that's so if we got him, which, you know, potentially Bournemouth could be looking to offload, maybe, depending on what their financial state is. But then they might be looking, he's young, we want to keep hold of him, we want to push back for the Premier League, you know, so they might really want to try and keep hold of him as well. Ball passing, I haven't seen too much, so I don't know what his distribution's like compared to the others. You know, so again, that might be something where Bielsa's like, he's passing not quite what we're looking for, or something like that. But as a shot stopper, you know, as 1v1, he's very brave. And we see a clip, didn't we, where he laid into his defenders, you know, which is great. I love that. You know, if my goalkeepers are not having a go, you know, you really want that from your kid.
Which is what Marriot does very good as well.
You spot it from obviously the team.
So right. So good insight there. It's Adam Ramsdale. You want to say next keeper?
No, because I can't.
You can't remember.
I'll let you do this
I
part.
wish we knew it.
Marriot.
It's good to I can translate gibberish.
So obviously next keeper.
Sergio Romero.
So
Man United. So instantly we all dislike him already.
Yes.
But I mean he's 33, so he's then
That's that age, isn't it?
He's at that age. The thing for me, I don't think he's ever really been the number one anywhere. So he's always been the number two.
Yeah.
So he's got the experience, but not the full-on experience.
Not the full-on experience. Yeah. So there's kind of that sort of side of it. And again, I don't think, me personally, I don't think he's going to be up to Marriot's standards. I would take Marriot over him myself.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not just saying that. He looks good, he looks comfortable, but I don't think he's really set the world alight. Because at the moment, De Gea's not playing well at all.
No, he's not.
You know, to the point where Man United are looking like, do we still want him?
Yeah.
And you know, in previous years, he's been their best player.
Best keeper in the world, wasn't he?
So you know, but then they still haven't. Nobody's really gone. Let's get Romero. You know, so as bad as De Gea's been,
story in itself.
For me, there's nothing there, which kind of now links me to Martin.
Yes, Emiliano Martinez at Arsenal.
Yeah, at Arsenal. So, but for me, Leno's been out and he's come in and he's done phenomenal.
Yeah.
And out of the three, he would be the one I'd be most excited about, and he would really push Marriot.
And he's at a great age as well.
Great age. He's 27, so he's coming into his prime of it.
Yeah.
His distribution looks very good. I thought he was really good against us. You know, I thought he kept them in the game.
In that first half,
made some very good saves. He's a really good shot stopper. He's good on the ball. He generally looks more, out of the three of them, he looks more like what Bielsa would want. You know, what we've got, what the way he likes to play. So I think that would be the ideal one out of the three.
Yeah.
But I can't see him coming to us as a number two. So he would be in. Then.
But it's like.
That's not too bad, I don't think.
No, the thing with Martinez, he's more or less been a number two all his career as well, and he's sort of now getting his place at Arsenal. It looks like he's getting his place.
Yeah.
So
the other thing is I'm not quite sure, but I think Leno's out for a while. So I think he could be still looking at keeping that spot. So he's got a chance of a number one spot at Arsenal.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he's really going to come to a newly promoted side when he could go to a side that's now we've got European football.
Sit comfortably in the Premier League for a while with Leeds. It's like we all know we're going to stay up, but there's that.
So there is that little bit of like, we don't know what's going to happen next year.
Yeah.
This is new for us.
Yeah.
You know, Arsenal have been there, they've been there the whole time, you know, and it's
something like the 26th season on bouncing year.
Yeah.
So, you know, Arsenal's Arsenal, you know.
So I think he's got a very good chance there, you know, and if I was looking at it as not from a Leeds fan, but as a coach, if I was his coach or certainly like, you know, a friend of his or something, I'd be going, look, you know, you've got a chance at Arsenal there. How long's Leno out for? You know, are you going to come in and play games? Because if you are, Leno's got his own recovery. He's then got to win that spot back. You know, so for him personally, I don't know whether I think he's Argentinian, isn't he? So
I think he is. Yeah.
You know, he's probably got, as we found with Leeds fans, that the Argentinians love Bielsa.
Yeah.
So I think he'll have that love for Bielsa. I know Romero's Argentinian as well, so that could be a good ceiling deal for it.
Yeah.
And that, but you know, Romero, you know, he could come in and do a job as a number two.
Do you think then out of the three keepers, even if we're obviously only speaking about three keepers that have been spoken about in the press, Bielsa could be looking at someone from Chilean Division 3 or something he's watched for about 60 games last night or something like that. We know what Bielsa's like, no one knows what he's thinking, how do we see, you know, what have you. But out of the three, realistically, you know, one of the three wasn't going to come, which one do you think it would be?
I think Romero. Because Argentinian, number 2. He's more sort of at 33. He's like really experienced. The one I'd be excited about is Martinez. I really would be buzzing about him.
Is there any others that you've looked at and you thought, oh, I would have him?
Yeah, there was. Now I can't figure who it was. there was somebody that. No, there was somebody that I really would like. But yeah, gone.
We'll come back to it. We'll edit it back in.
In about a month's time, then you can add it in.
I said him.
That's all right. Yeah,
we signed it. That's the one I was talking about.
It's good for him because I think, like, as well, as Leeds fan, goalkeepers really don't get much talk about. It's all outfield players. It's good to have an insight for yourself. Goalkeeping qualifications you've got, and you can actually explain more to the goalkeeper in a position that I really pay much attention to. We're saying all like
there's a thing that Kieran said to me before. No one ever really notices the goalkeeper until they make a mistake, and it's like
very true.
One mistake and it could ruin their career.
Very true. Something that I generally found last season was where it really stood out for me was that managers are the ones that if a manager says, "Oh, he's had a good game today," no, that means he was brilliant. If he says, "I didn't really do anything today," that means like he was okay. If you go, "Oh, he's had a poor game today," that means he was shocking.
Yeah.
Because the ones where they say, "Oh, he was quiet today," that's generally where they've played okay.
He's not had to do much.
He's not had to do much. Yeah. And that, but for me, like keepers do a lot more than what you realise because a lot of it is organising. They're organising what's in front of them.
Of course, that's where it starts from.
Exactly that. Yeah, a goalkeeper's got the whole picture.
Yeah.
And then when you got somebody that's really switched on with it as well, he will want. I want that defender at that position. Now I want him in that position. I want him there. I want him there. And they know the whole layout of it. Yeah. If somebody's out of that position and they're getting him in that position. And that was what, with that Ramsdale clip that we see, he laid into his defender because his defender was in the wrong position, and then he was doing the wrong things. He told the striker, don't let him turn. And he's turned, the shot was scored. Yeah. And then that's what he's laying into him. I've told you this. You've not done this, but then it's things like that. When the goalkeeper gets it right, he doesn't have to do a lot because he's got it right in front of him. Yeah. He's done the organising.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got good defenders and bad defenders.
As well, you've got defenders that turn around to goalkeepers and say, "Why didn't you tell me that?" So
why have you not given me that communication? Yeah, definitely.
Well, there's always someone trying to label the person in there. We know that.
Yeah. But
there was also when there was a penalty shootout and you said that they don't get. It's like what is it? I can't think.
Everyone remembers the one that's saved the penalty to win it. That kind of thing. Is that it?
No, it was something about like they say, "Oh, it was a miss rather than what a save."
Oh yeah. So like if a striker's hit the target and the keeper saved it. On everything, it comes up with penalty miss. Why is it? It's never penalty save.
True, I've never thought of that. Actually. It's true, isn't it? Very true.
Yeah, if he's blazed over, penalty miss.
So give the goalkeepers recognition.
Give them that bit of credit.
Thanks very much.
It's just that position that you've got to get it right. It's such a key thing to get right.
So, what is it that drew you to be a goalkeeper? Why? Because obviously, I know that you used to be a goalkeeper. What was it that fascinated you so much about goalkeeping? What made you passionate about it?
I mean, I loved it because I could throw myself in, get a bit hurt and things. Like you're putting your head where people are throwing their boots and their studs about. I love that.
Crazy, don't we?
You've got to be crazy. But no, it's the feel of when you pull off that save. When the striker's for a 1v1.
So it's good to score a goal, isn't it?
Yeah, that's for a goalkeeper. That is scoring a goal. A clean sheet's a hat trick. You feel so buzzed by it. Managers I've worked with and I've spoken to, a striker of 30 goals a season, you know, will get you up there. But a goalkeeper that will keep clean sheets will win you the league.
Yeah,
you know?
of course, yeah.
And you look at, you know, as much criticism as Casillas got, he did keep a lot of clean sheets this season. And Meslier then backed that up with the games that he had. I think he had a good clean sheet percentage as well, didn't he? I think.
He had about 5 out of 9.
Yeah,
Something
yeah,
like that,
which
yeah.
is
So,
brilliant
Isn't it?
stat, you know.
50%. So,
So, yeah, he really is. A good striker will get you up there, but a good goalkeeper will win you the league.
Yeah.
You know, and it's such an important thing. It's, you know, people don't realise how important a goalkeeper is until striking 1v1, you know, and that's the last person you're relying on.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just
the last line defence.
Yeah. A lot of the time we go out 1v1, you go, oh, they've scored now. Before you even like.
But I know this like sounds a little bit big, but keepers that I work with, and I've worked on that specific thing with them, I will back them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you remember Dino that I worked with.
Would you rather that than someone say like a cross, or would you feel more confident in 1v1?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's the keeper and striker. Yeah, I mean, let's say like one of the keepers I work with, you got to meet him. Every time the striker went through 1-on-1, I was the most relaxed person on the bench.
Yeah,
I knew
and everyone else was probably not.
Yeah, everyone else was on 1v1. I was relaxed because
Yeah.
I knew we'd done the work on it, we'd put the effort in, I knew how good he'd become at them. And for me, I had no problem that he was going to save the 1v1s.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that I want, as for me, in my goalkeeping department, as for my keepers, is that I want to have the confidence in them to back them. But then as a fan as well, for Leeds, like, if that happens, I want to be able to back my goalkeeper. Like, I'll back them, you know, it's right, he's going to save this.
Yeah.
You know?
Brilliant.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks very much for that insight in goalkeeping. And
thanks for having me on.
What do you say? Smash a like and whatever you
please
do all
like,
that.
please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and turn the alerts on, and follow him on social media. And if you're in Kent, then give him a message, because he's absolutely fantastic. I went down and did a few videos and taken photos for him, and wow, it just blew my mind actually. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, thank you very much.
Hey guys, see you all later.
Cheers.
Bye.